Guys, we really got to ramp the pot up. I actually just got fired from my real job.
Oh my gosh, again?
What for this time?
Well, we had this new guy start, right? And so I just decided...
Wait, hold on. I'm going to stop you right there. Did you give the new employee another poop map?
Well, okay, so I was just trying to be a nice guy.
No, dude, you have to stop that.
I told you this last time, Brian. Until you actually learn your left from your right, people are just going to end up taking shits in the break room.
Exactly. Wait, no, what?
Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and watching TV and movies. I'm your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you so much for joining us for our review of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Episode 2. Before we dive into the 4 Bro 4 Squad criteria that we review all of our TV episodes on, which is the acting, the story, our favorite scene, and theories and questions going forward, let us meet the American hero, Nate Thurmond, and the mad scientist, Brian Banner. Nate, we'll just go right to you. The acting and cast, She-Hulk Episode 2, actually fleshed out a few more characters, or at least introduced us to some that will be central to the plot, and then brought back some favorites, or at least for me, some old-time classics. What do you think of the performances we got in Episode 2?
Yeah, I really enjoyed what was brought to the table here. Obviously, like you said, we got introduced to quite a few new characters and some old favorites. So we got Tim Roth in here as Abomination, or Emil Blonsky. So bringing him back, I really like what they're doing with him. I like the new perspective that he's bringing with it may be a facade, but his new lifestyle, his new thought process, everything that's kind of backing how he's trying to move forward. It may be a red herring, but I like how he's playing it, and how we can get into this into the plot and story, but how he's really reshaping his own character, and they're kind of going a different direction with him. But yeah, that really stood out. And then it was very short-lived, but really like the introduction of Pug, kind of one of the other, I don't know exactly his role, but assistant or another employee in the superhero division of the new law firm.
Is he the one who gave her the gift basket?
Yeah.
Is it that one?
Yeah. So,
he's poop map guy.
Yeah. Watching some other videos, I know that he's I wouldn't say staple, but he is a character kind of in the Marvel Universe in the comics. And he really loves Jen and is really, I don't know if obsessed with her, but is a good friend to her. So, I'm excited to see his faithful sidekick role kind of played out.
I did not realize, he was going to have a much bigger role. I thought it was kind of a one-off, but as we did set off the top, Poop Map is actually a great welcome to the office gift. I mean, that's like really passing along important information that someone can use. I'll just speak briefly on Tim Roth as Emil Blonsky, because I am, and Brian knows this, a huge apologist of the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie. I think it is so underrated. And Emil Blonsky's character in it, I thought it was really interesting. And especially with the Thunderbolts movie coming out, super interesting to introduce him as an anti-hero, and I think very cleverly done. They've waited obviously so long to bring him back. Really, I think, Brian, this does two things. Number one, we're finally starting to embrace the 2008 Hulk movie. In fact, they make a joke about it where Ruffalo says in this, "It was so long ago, I'm practically a different person now." But not only that, I think it was a clever plot device to bring him into this show where there's sort of like the moral dilemma of Jen representing him, not only because of his battle that he had with Bruce Banner, but he's sort of looked at as like a polarizing figure. So I thought that was done really well, and I really hope we get a lot more of him, because not only as a plot device, I think it's cool, but as an actor, and I think the Abomination is just fucking awesome as well. Mm-hmm. Brian, what'd you think?
Yeah, I can't agree more. I am excited to bring Abomination back, and with somebody like Tim Roth playing him, I mean, come on, he's he's one of the best in the biz. He's up there. So it's really nice to see them not wasting his talent as an actor and giving his character, who was a straight up villain before, some more layers. And I'll talk a little bit more about that once we get to best scene. Couldn't hit on it more. I mean, obviously, everybody was great in this, but what do you guys think about Kazan Ched? I thought he was fucking hilarious. Played by Nicholas Curiolo. I thought it was funny. Sue me. And then
that whole scene, like he does he work at Best Buy? Is that what he said?
Yeah. He just got manager at the Best Buy. So
good for you, Chad.
Good for you, Chad.
Congrats.
Somebody else I want to give props to is Mark Lynn Baker, who plays Morris Walters, Jen's dad. You can kind of tell he was exactly what you want a parent to be. Look, I know you're not okay, but I need you to tell me that you're not okay. I'm not going to help you fix it. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, like your mom did, try and hook you up with the grocery store guy or whatever.
Just giving out her phone number to people.
Yeah, just giving out her phone number. But like, hey, I'm here for you. I don't know what I can do to help you because this is uncharted territory, but you know I'm here for you, even if it's just for an ear. And I thought that even though it was a really small, really subtle role, I thought he did a really, really good job of playing that parent to a child that is in a situation that you're like, I would never be in that in a million years. So I don't know what's...
I agree. One small complaint I have about this episode is actually the runtime was so short that I almost feel like a scene like that has a lot of merit in an episode like this, building foundation for like who is Jen before she becomes She-Hulk, because we're kind of thrown right into it. It kind of gets the short end of the stick in terms of narrative screen time. Like I could have used a little more of that, but again, we have a 9-episode runway here for this whole show. I hope we get a little bit more of that as far as her character development, but I'm worried that that was either something that was cut on the editing floor, or it's something that, like, if they do go back to it, it will not be done with much screen time, I guess. It'll just be, like, sort of briefly alluded to. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Can I say one negative, cast-wise?
Please.
Ginger Gonzaga, who plays Nikki, her friend, certainly, like, that character certainly has a role in shows like this. I just haven't found her funny or really, like, an interesting pairing with Jen at all. So she's just not doing... I know her role's kind of to be comedic. I haven't laughed at all at one thing she said.
No. There's not much... she's there to be, like, a something for Jen to bounce ideas off, to play off of. And there's not much there. Like, she's not providing much substance in anything. I haven't felt like any of their conversations have been that great. In this episode, you have her at the bar scene real quick where they're having a few drinks. Nothing really happens, and then they go to her office, and she's just like, "Oh, cool, you got a desk, you got drinks," and all. I'm like, "Okay, cool, but like, we don't really need you for this. You're not really doing anything." She's just there.
I kind of hope they don't use her for like raw meat in the plot, meaning like, oh, remember how we told you Jen cares about her? Well, now she's kidnapped, or like now she's in danger. It's like, dude, you just dangled her out there so the audience felt like there's stakes now. I don't know. That hasn't happened yet, so I can't lodge it as a complaint. I understand her role in a show like this. I've laughed at this show. None of it has been to the character of Nikki.
No, and if they're going to do that, and I could definitely see that, especially with her conversation, Jen's conversation with Holloway, saying, "Hey, can I name my paralegal?" And she wants her.
And he's like, "I literally don't give a fuck who you do."
so they're like laying the groundwork that she does mean a lot to her, like you're saying. So that could happen, but there's got to be more substance. There's got to be something to make the audience actually care about her, because right now I don't think anyone does.
Yeah,
I get that Jen cares about her. I get that.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know why, because they haven't proven to me why their relationship is so strong yet. And that's something that they should have done already. If they are in fact going to dangle her out there as the damsel that Jen has to go and save. I don't know if they're going to, like you said, Jeff, but that's something they're going to have to address if they want to do that.
For sure.
Yep. All right, moving on to the story and the plot of episode 2, IMDb's synopsis says, Jennifer is hired at a prestigious law firm, but must practice as She-Hulk and rep a complicated client. Nate, how do we feel about where the story took us in episode 2? It's kind of weird. The first episode was almost like the She-Hulk origin, this sort of felt like, in a weird way, like the first episode of the series, if that makes sense. Like, we get what the device is going to be for the story, and then we meet the dominoes that they're going to push over as the series progresses.
Yeah, this was kind of like a 1-2 punch, where episode 1 was kind of like, if you're reading a book, like the preface. Like, they got that, and then this is chapter 1. We're actually getting into it, and now that I'm thinking about this, because I've thought about this a bit, like 9 episodes is weird. Like, did they have to like adjust this a little bit? Like, it was supposed to be like 8 episodes, which sounds like it's a nice even number. You see that a lot, 6, 8 episodes. But this one's 9, so it kind of makes sense now that we're rolling into the actual meat and potatoes, everything. We're getting into what this series, I think, is trying to be, is kind of a split role series where you have the superhero and the attorney side of her. I mean, it's pretty obvious there, but now we're really getting into that. We're seeing that she goes through the struggles of trying to find a new job, which was kind of a weird process to me, because it showed the struggle of not being able to get hired. I'm like, there's people out there who would hire this.
Yeah, like
people
you're
would
a lawyer still.
This up. Like, I understand a lot of people are like, oh, it's a liability, that's why she got originally fired. But like, I know what world we live in, like especially in the MCU with like the superhero.
We live in a post-snap world. Like, they would find a way for the She-Hulk to get a job somewhere.
Yeah, there would be people actively reaching out. So that was a little weird and off-putting.
Worst case, S.H.I.E.L.D. would reach out, right? Or, excuse me, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s not a thing right now. I forgot. Never mind.
I don't know, Sword?
Sword, yeah. Sword would reach out, right?
Yeah. Maybe. Or maybe it's been communicated via Bruce that she does not want that superhero life. So that side of the world is like, okay, fine, she's off limits. We're not going to try. But still, like, they still would. But overall, just coming from episode 1, there were a few little things I didn't like about this, but overall I really did like this episode. I liked the way it moved. It felt a little fast paced because, yeah, it was like 26 minutes overall, like with your 8
It's almost like
credits.
Breakneck speed, I feel like.
Yeah. It like ended and I was like, oh shit, that was pretty fast. But a lot of MCU tie-ins, which is great, obviously bringing back
Tons.
Emil Blonsky, and then the Shang-Chi tie-in at the end, which was great. Which I could no, I was going to save this for theories and questions, but it kind of fits in here because where's the timeline for this? I'm not sure. And was that Shang-Chi video that we saw on the news, was that like real time from Shang-Chi, or was that like another instance that just happened? Like, has Wong been breaking him out and bringing him there like multiple times, and this is now they're just getting caught?
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk about this now. I had this in theories and questions. There is a pervasive internet theory that we don't know exactly why Wong did what he did yet. Wong is in the series. Benedict Wong is in the cast list at some point. So we'll get some clarity there. But there's a lot of speculation that the Shang-Chi tournament in the movie is so underground and top secret that someone could have had video of Abomination and it just leaked like weeks or possibly months later.
That makes sense too, and I'd be fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm assuming maybe it's the next episode, who knows, when Wong shows up. We know Wong is in this, we know Daredevil's in this, and then I have a very, very strong suspicion, I'll save it for theories and questions, that another MCU superhero will show up just based on where things are headed. But that is a good question. And I think with all the timeline, we'll get into the Hulk stuff with the Sicarian ship. Like, I have a feeling that's going to tie into Miss Marvel and the Shang-Chi post-credit scene. So the whole timeline's a bit wonky to me right now.
And kind of the last thing, there's one other thing I can go to theories and questions, but one other thing that I do like, I kind of mentioned this in acting and cast, is Emil's new viewpoint, trying to kind of shape his anti-hero or whatever viewpoint people have of him or the audience views him as. And it's kind of an interesting perspective that you've kind of seen recently more prominently in MCU installments. I'm sure it's been in a ton of stuff. I mean, the Winter Soldier going from bad to good, but you see a lot more now with Wanda in the latest installment of Doctor Strange. Now, some people don't like her. She's going evil. She's going off the rails. Loki and his series, very heartfelt moments in that. People started changing their views on Loki, trying to get a different perspective from him. So I like how they're doing this with some well-known characters in the MCU, and now they're kind of reshaping their arc in the whole MCU. So it's good that you're getting the same characters, but a different spin, so it feels new to everybody.
No, I agree. I think that's sort of been the ballsy thing that they've done in Phase 4. Like, I won't say who because it's a spoiler, but not a major character, but a significant character in Falcon and Winter Soldier has a pretty substantial turn from hero to, I don't even think anti-hero. You probably say straight up villain for that character. And then, I mean, with the Thunderbolts movie coming out, I think Emil Blonsky and Abomination is a perfect candidate to be on that team too. Like, do I root for you? I don't know. I kind of like seeing you do your thing, but also you're not, you don't have the best intentions.
Yep. But
Brian, story and plot. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that's it for me.
So I was really hard on the first episode last week. I didn't like it. It felt out of place to me, and I think I figured out why. And I think you hit it right on the head there, Nate. Is that first episode is kind of a preface or a prequel. This is when the show actually starts. So if they would have released these 2 episodes as a 1-hour episode or released these at the same time, I wouldn't have hated it as much. I watched this episode and then I went back actually right before we hopped on here and watched episode 1 and 2 back to back straight through, and I enjoyed it much better. But that first episode, just, I think the further we go, it's not going to fit, but it has to be there somewhere of how she becomes She-Hulk. With that being said, this is exactly what I want. This is great. We are starting to see the struggles of Jennifer Walters balancing that I'm a superhero or a powered person, enhanced individual, whatever we want to call it, and a actual normal human being. And finding out where she lands on that spectrum is kind of what I like to see about as you watch all origin stories. First you have Iron Man. He's this billionaire, doesn't give a fuck about anybody, then turns into making that ultimate sacrifice. So in origin stories, that's what you want to see, is that struggle between who they think they are and who they are destined to be. And I think that this episode really started to lay that groundwork well.
And the fact that it's even like self-aware of that trope as it's sort of playing it out is sort of a fun. I mean, at this point, Marvel has done a really good job of walking that fine line. Like, yeah, I'm in a superhero movie. I'm going to point it out so that you can't basically cut me off and say that. We're following like an archetype or like a formulaic way to present a character because we know that that's the case. So just have fun with it.
Yeah. Also, big thing I don't like, breaking the fourth wall. I think it takes me out of it. It takes me out of it.
And normally I like that stuff. It's just, it doesn't belong in this show, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm glad I had that written down here. I'm glad you brought it up so I can mention it. I don't think it adds anything to the story. Like, it kind of is distracting, which is a good point because like when she's doing it a lot in this, she is distracted from what Holloway is saying. And then he asks the question and she says, I'm agnostic. And then she's like, I'm just going to be thinking about that for the next year, which was also a kind of weird line and I didn't understand.
Same. Yeah, I just think and I'm not complaining in the sense that I want them to do it more, but it's done so sporadically and at like random times. I'm like, why is this even in the show?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know. It's just, I'm not a director. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. All right, best scene. I guess I'll go first because I just want to take the kind of obvious one. Blonsky in the cell. I mean, Tim Roth returning. Haven't seen him since 2008. Such a great actor, as Brian said. He's decorated. He normally does incredibly like dark and interesting dramatic roles. So to see him even want to come back and do this after 14 years is just so fun. And it is a fun character. Like, I'm sure him getting to sort of chew the scenery with this guy and revisit it was interesting. The questions are, number one, is he actually reformed, as Nate alluded to? Is he just sort of putting on Jen? Probably to some degree he is. Will this tie into a Thunderbolts appearance? I hate to ask my questions here, but it ties right into that scene. And I'll put this to both you guys. Brian, are we going to see Tim Blake Nelson as the leader at some point in this? Because we still don't know where he ended up. But it would seem, I mean, he's directly tied into what happened with Banner and Blonsky and the fight in Harlem. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is my best scene as well. And I think it's kind of for different reasons, which again makes it such a good scene. For me, I like that scene so much because you can see Jen go in there, her guard is up, she's not going to take this, but she's just doing it almost out of spite, right? And you can just see Blonsky slowly chipping away at that guard. And you slowly see Jen going, well, shit, wait, maybe he has some good points. And also, he has kind of the same powers that I have, and I can control them, so why can't he kind of control them? And you can slowly see that guard coming down and him chipping away at it, which then gets kind of I don't even know what the right words are here, reinforced whenever he escapes from the prison later on, or we find that out.
So I like kind of realizing, I was going to say, when he says that he was injected with the super soldier serum from the government, apparently that was brand new information to her, which kind of makes her think like, well, if we don't know the whole story, like, what can I really believe about what they've told me about Emil Blonsky, you know?
Exactly. And that's what I liked about it so much, was kind of that cat and mouse game, but you're not exactly sure who the cat and who the mouse is at first. And then obviously seeing Jen come around and say, yeah, I'm going to do this for whatever reason.
Nate, how about you?
Probably that one, but just to switch it up, I'll do my honorable mention, which I thought was another really good scene, and it was it wasn't the pinnacle of this episode, but it was definitely a shining moment because it kind of led to all led to this point in this conversation, which was between Jen and Bruce at the very end. So basically, it was weighing a lot on her wanting to get his blessing. And I think it was played really well because he kind of knew what was going on, but he was just letting her talk it out, because that's what a lot of people need to do. Sometimes they just need to say it out loud too. He's just letting her voice her opinions, letting her actually speak, because I think in the episode, it's kind of viewed, especially like when she's going around the law firm, that she feels like she's not being heard or understood. So this was a good like soapbox for her to get on, and he was just letting her really feel heard and get her voice out.
Right.
And it was a good way of finally getting over that, and him just saying, yeah, we're cool, you can do it, it's fine with me. And it ended the episode on a good note, and didn't really threw a wrench into things or really ramped up the questions and theories as the phone call ends and you see him on the Sicarian ship. So lots of theories and questions around that, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah, so before we actually get into theories and questions, because this is just a general thing about what that scene did for you, both you guys, did that intrigue you more or frustrate you more? Because when they pull out, I was kind of like, really?
The ship?
Like, I was like, now I have no fucking idea what's going on.
I think I was more pleased or excited because I think after the first episode we were kind of in the realm of what the hell was that ship? I mean, they're kind of alluding to it. Are they going to come back to it? So it reinforced my faith in this series that they're going back and actually explaining things now. So they mentioned it twice in 2 episodes. They've shown the ship. There's going to be a bigger plot thread there, so I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, that's true. Brian, how about you?
I don't know that we're going to. I know IMDb says that he's in 9 episodes, but I don't see how. But I don't see how. I think this is we needed some way to get Bruce from wherever he's at right now to wherever his next appearance in the MCU is going to be, and they're using that ship as that vessel. No pun intended. I don't see how any of that can come back around and relate back to Jen Walters. I don't get it. I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it. I think that's not going to come into play until another movie or TV show, something down the line.
Yeah, it does feel so far removed from everything. Like literally is, but then also narratively, like, how do you connect that to what's happening with Jen?
Yeah, and She-Hulk is more of a ground level hero as opposed to a world-threatening hero. And so it's just, space travel does not seem like your neighborhood problem. I don't know.
That is true.
Call me crazy. One other comment I had on that scene was they did a really good job of sticking to Jen's true character. If she called him, didn't let him speak, was quote unquote asking him for his blessing, right. But at the end of the day, she was going to do it no matter what he said. And that was very true to the character that they established in the first episode, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and one tidbit, and I wouldn't know this from just watching the episode. I read this somewhere, but on the phone, whenever she calls, it says fuzzball on there, and he's called her fuzzball a couple times. Apparently, that came from like on set, like him actually calling her fuzzball like in real life because her hair is like so frizzy, and it just stuck, and then they like introduced it into the show. So I think that's kind of a cool Easter egg.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
I like stuff like that. All right, the end, fan favorite, theories and questions going forward. I'm sure Nate saw this because I think we watched the same recap video. But Brian, didn't know if you caught it because I definitely didn't see it live. But my theory, although it's pretty much explicitly stated, first reference to Wolverine in the MCU, because as Jen Walters is looking on that website for like a new profession, and it says... What was the actual title of the job? It was like Swiss Village Mascots or something.
The main one. Yeah, the number one was what, yeah.
On the right side, there is a news headline that says, "Man in bar fight uses metal claws."
Yeah.
So we can only assume that is our man Logan.
It just makes me excited. It just makes me excited. But I also really hope X-Men becomes a show and not a movie. But yeah. That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, that's a great Easter egg to a X-Men tie-in, and also on that same kind of like sidebar of the website she was watching, they had like what was it, like 3rd edition Iron Man shoes or something like that.
Oh yeah,
like a la like Jordan shoes or something like that. I was like, that's pretty funny.
And the other news article ties into the end of the Eternals where the Celestial is frozen in ice, because I think the other headline said, "Why is there a gigantic man whose arm is sticking out of the Atlantic Ocean?" Or it was like some paraphrase version of that, which I thought was pretty funny.
Pretty funny stuff.
Nate, any theories and questions from you? I only have one other one.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, I'll kind of round back to what I was talking about at the end of my favorite scene. So Banner is on the Sarkarian ship at the end, breaking down what's like in that scene or what's like around him. You see the air horn that he used to wake up Jen. You see like the binder. You see a lot of papers, the binder of how to like control Hulk or be Hulk or become where he's at. So this kind of plays into a theory that's been going around online from the first episode. He may be going out to reconnect with his son, Scar. So I don't know much about his origin story or anything like that in the comic books, but he could be going back out to see him and to kind of teach him the ways of being able to control his Hulkness. So this series really gained some traction in that because of like what was around him on the ship and what he was taking with him. Like, okay, it looks like he's got some training materials. So I think that's becoming a pretty good theory.
So then are we, because dude, he's the Hulk. We have to have him back on Earth for Secret Wars, right? He has to be a part of that.
I would think so.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
But are they going to do World War Hulk?
So there was some talk of that, but like all the other elements of that are like the Illuminati sending him away and like everything. I mean, again, Marvel doesn't adapt to anything directly, but it seems like the only part of that we have is him going to Sakaar again.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm very confused by that. And maybe is this a detriment to the show where, and maybe it's not if they bring it up later on in the show, but if he's gone now for the rest of the series, we have now spent 5 minutes talking about that as opposed to this actual show. Which isn't good.
Yeah. Which I understand whenever you were saying, like, how is he going to be in 9 episodes? Because that's a good point now with the ending of this one, which I really hadn't thought about. Like, he's billed to be in 9 episodes, and now he's traveling space and time. So it's going to be interesting how they do piece him back in.
I need him back on Earth because I really want him to interact with Eric Bana and his Hulk in Secret Wars. And that can't happen if he's back on Sakaar, you know. Plus, Lou Ferrigno is going to come back for that too.
Lou Ferrigno would come back for anything.
Yeah, what's he doing? I Love You Man 2? I don't think so.
I met him. I met him once at Comic-Con.
You did?
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I waved at him, and his little like people around him like jumped in front of me, like no pictures, no pictures. I was like, honestly, I don't want a picture with you. So.
And I was just like,
I literally was waving to him, like, oh look,
yeah,
just
a
a
wave.
Now.
Psychos, man.
Yeah.
All right,
Not
here's the questions.
So my really only question that I have, we kind of know where this is going, the show to an extent, is how long until we get either Abomination or Tim Roth back?
Next episode?
I would say next episode.
Yeah.
So
do you have something to the contrary on that?
Who's your client?
Well, I'm just saying, did that underground fight happen prior to them meeting, or is that like leaked like TMZ style? It was 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, and I think that's the big question. I still think he'll be in the next episode, though.
Or at least Wong will be explaining what he did. And even in Shang-Chi, you don't really understand why Wong did what he did, you know?
They've integrated him too much into the story, and I think he's too integral to where they won't have him in the next one. He's too important to the plot at this point.
Yeah, he's really the source of conflict as well.
But I agree that question, like, where's the timeline falling in and where was that video taken? That's very important. I need an answer quickly.
Because the other thing is, if it is like live and at least like the day of, we know that the Sicarian beacon that Banner responds to while he's in his Banner form in his sling, that's the post-credit scene to Shang-Chi. So he's either not Smart Hulk anymore when that happens, he's back on Earth as Banner, or again, this has all leaked like months after it actually happened, and he's already done that Zoom call with Captain Marvel and Shang-Chi.
And they could do it, but I just feel like it would take too much unnecessary explaining if that was like an old video. And I think the reason for like the panic and everyone freaking out is because they saw the video, they went to a cell, they see he's not there in real time. So I think that is a new instance, and Wong has just been doing it for a while and taking him back to the ring every once in a while and fighting with him.
But see, then, like, why is Wong doing that? Like,
I have no idea. And it's funny because, like, even in Shang-Chi, like, he's very, like, cordial with him as he's talking to him, and he, like, takes him back there willingly as he opens the portal. And so, I mean, that's been a mystery for a while.
And now I'm wondering in No Way Home when Wong leaves, like, is that where he's going to grab Abomination and take him to this tournament?
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe.
All right, I have one small thing. Do you guys have anything else?
Yeah, go for it. I've got another one.
I've got one question.
All right, Banner, why don't you go?
So when are we going to get Charlie Cox, and how is he going to play into this whole game?
Is there a chance he is the prosecution and she's the defending attorney?
Possibly, but he's traditionally a defense attorney, right? If in fact Daredevil the series is in the same
which we still don't know.
Realm or universe, you know, that's a whole nother slew of questions that we could get into. But yeah, I'm just wondering because originally I thought maybe he would be going up against her as the prosecution, but obviously that's not the case now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So currently he's listed as in 7 episodes, which is kind of, I don't know if I like this. No way! He's listed in 7 episodes, so he's going to be in next episode.
Okay, now I feel like they just listed him as 9, and this person is just trimming the number every time he doesn't show up in an episode.
See, and that's the thing. I don't know how they quantify this. Are the people like updating IMDb? Like, do they have insider information or what? Because I don't know.
I don't see any way Daredevil's in 7, even if he's like the attorney she's going against in the case. I don't see how he's in 7 episodes.
Yeah, I mean this would turn into Daredevil's show, kind of like Book of Boba Fett turned into Mandalorian show.
Yeah, because at this point, if Abomination is still out there and they introduce Charlie Cox, I feel like they're gonna have to like put a lot of time into like explaining his role, explaining a little bit of his background, and introducing him separately from like Jin and him actually like battling in court because Abomination is still at large. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I could go down.
And if that's the case, there is no way we're getting Hulk in 7. I mean, it just it's basically like a split show. It'd be like half of Sakaar, half Quarter.
Yeah. We'll see.
Last one I had, Jessica Jones is going to show up in this as a private investigator that I think Jen will hire to sort of look into what actually happened with Emil Blonsky. Maybe to do things a little bit more unethically than Jen is willing or able to do. And I only wish William Hurt were still alive because I feel like General Ross would be great in this series and could actually have a lot to do as the person being sort of pressed against the coals, like what actually happened when he was originally given the super soldier serum in Blonsky, and like what were your motives then, and him trying to cover his tracks, but unfortunately he's not with us any longer. So that role can be played by maybe Jessica Jones ends up tracking down Samuel Stearns.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing. And I believe Kristen Ritter is coming back as well as Jessica Jones. I don't know if she'll use her powers in this, but certainly as a PI, that would be fun.
Even if she doesn't use her powers, I think the character itself is compelling enough where I'm okay with that. Is it confirmed that Kristen Ritter came back?
There's been heavy rumors.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Because if she came back, then I would make a strong argument that Daredevil and her shows and the Defenders are, in fact, in the MCU proper.
I do think, though, I read an article that Marvel said they are recasting Iron Fist. Obviously, Finn Jones was lamented as like the worst actor of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that.
He sucks.
I can still, yeah, I'm fine with that.
So we'll see. And I think we might even get Jessica Jones next episode.
Maybe she uses Jessica Jones to find Abomination.
Possibly.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Again, maybe I don't know. The next episode will be interesting. I think we're going to get some.
The big thing here is IMDb is fucking us up because we don't know if the episode counts are right or not.
Well, we're going to learn next episode if we can trust it or not, because if Daredevil doesn't show up, then it's full of shit.
And it says 6 episodes next week.
Yeah,
right.
We'll have a good way of tracking that.
We're on to you, IMDb.
Screenshot it. We should screenshot it right now so we have proof that it says 7.
You fucking liars.
Yeah, you're full of shit. All right, Nate, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I got 2. Hold on. Yeah, 2 more things. One's a small thing. I'll mention at the end. But it's the theory. I think we'll probably get Madam Hydra back in this at some point. Ooh. And maybe even if it's just like a little after credit scene, but I'm getting the vibe that she may have some role in like the DODC that's running like the cube where Abomination is, and she may be working with like Holloway, and like there's a bigger conspiracy behind all this, and she's kind of pulling the strings for Holloway. I don't think he's like the head guy behind whatever's going on with this and why they really want Jen to be the attorney for Abomination. And we haven't seen much of Madam Hydra. She really hasn't made her huge breakthrough debut. We've seen her in a little bit of Falcon and Winter Soldier. She was actually in the episodes, wasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, briefly.
And then a cut scene in Black Widow. So, and they're
that'd be great too, because I definitely think she wants to recruit Abomination for the Thunderbolts.
Exactly. So I think it sets up perfectly for this. And I don't really have too much to connect here. It's just that feeling. Like I feel like her and Holloway, like the same like sinister person, that could be working together. So I feel there's some connection there in that. And then my last question, which is kind of just a stupid question. I don't get it. Why does Jen's hair go like from curly to straight when she's She-Hulk? Is there anything behind that?
No idea.
It's got more body.
Yeah, it's just more aesthetically pleasing in her Hulk form. I don't know.
Uses a different conditioner. In the 2008,
she looks like Lou Ferrigno if it was still like all frizzy.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
In the 08, I was just gonna say in the 08 Hulk, and again the CG technology was probably the main reason for this, but the Edward Norton Hulk had quite different hair from his version of Banner.
Yeah.
He had like a comb over, sort of, and then as he was just Edward Norton. But why isn't Liv Tyler coming back? I just thought of that. as Betty Ross?
I don't know. I would love that.
Great question.
Maybe hold out hope. I doubt it, but the Russo didn't bring her back for Endgame, and not very likely.
That's all
All right, anything you guys have to leave the people with?
Overall, just a lot happier where this episode's going from the first one. So really jumping on board. Glad to kind of see the bigger picture now. And like I mentioned earlier, like it's 9 episodes. Kind of feels like it may have been 8, and they kind of split this or like added the preface to it or the
Especially
origin.
because this episode was so short.
Yeah,
the next episode was like 45
that
minutes.
was so weird. Which, I mean, the origin story is definitely needed. But now seeing the bigger picture, I'm really liking where this is going. Just a few minor things that are kind of rubbing me the wrong way, like the fourth wall and other things we mentioned. But overall, it took a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think our main complaints and we liked it overall, but our main complaints with the first episode were we just weren't sure what was happening tonally, but if they stick with it and, have a level of consistency, then we can buy in, and that's, I think, basically what we got in episode 2.
Yep.
Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, this is the show, this is turning out to be the show I wanted it to be more. Still pretty guarded based off just the fact that first episode and this episode do not mash up very well, in my opinion. But this episode, loved the character growth that we had. We started getting a lot more questions that seem answerable. And then it's just pointing us in this downward trajectory. Also, there's a guy named Drew Matthews that's in 2 episodes. Thought it was Dave Matthews at first glance. Got really confused. Almost excited and then disappointed.
What a roller coaster there.
Dennis Bukowski. I don't know that name, so if that means anything in the Marvel universe, I don't know.
To someone, it does.
Yeah, probably.
To new rock stars, it does. They'll tell us.
Yeah.
All right, for the American hero Nate Thurmond and our own mad scientist Brian Banner, I'm the mayor Jeff Hornacek. We are the Bro Force Squad podcast. Thank you guys for checking out our review of She-Hulk Attorney at Law episode 2. Join us for the rest of the series. In the interim, you can find us on Twitter at Bro Force Squad. If you type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, pretty much anywhere you find your podcast, you will find us and check out everything that we post on our website, broforcesquad.com. Until next time, I have to go on a treasure hunt here for the best place to poop. Just Banner, I noticed you passed the restroom here.
Look, there's this tree that is amazing.
I just use your front yard.
Problem solved. He's probably the one suing us, even though we pay him.
Damn it, we are going to definitely lose that.
Can he do that?
Can he represent both sides? That way he, no matter what, wins?
I feel like there's a conflict of interest, but I'm not a lawyer.
I know you can do it if you're a realtor.
Oh, well, that's true, which is pretty fucked up, but very legal.